We are the People Show because we want to hear from y'all and do more of what you want to see within this program. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JDPiquel to have interaction, do more of what you want to see. Got a question from one of you on Twitter from Brent Venables era. And he asks, is it possible, I'm paraphrasing here, you're seeing the real tweet on the screen, I'm paraphrasing, is it possible for Brent Venables to win 10 games in 2023? Because there was a fair amount of games that we lost by 3 points or less. Or 3 points, rather. There was actually 4 games lost by 3 points. Let's unpack that. There was 4 in the regular season, actually, that were all by 1 score. You factor in the bowl game, another 3-point loss. So 5 games that all came down to a score. You lost to Kansas State 34-41. Game may not have been quite as close as that score indicates because it came down on an onside kick. But here's the reality. Score is a score, okay? So was it close the entire game? No, but Oklahoma kind of found themselves, I felt like, a little bit later in the year. Lost to Baylor 35-38, at West Virginia 20-23, at Texas Tech 48-51 in that 5th game, obviously, coming against Florida State 32-35. I just want to answer this question very, very honestly and very, very bluntly. Yes. Yes, it is 1,000% possible. Some of you are saying, oh, what are you talking about? This guy doesn't know anything. You're typing out the clown emoji. As you're doing that, look at TCU. Look at what TCU was in 2021. They missed a bowl game. They went 5-7. Fast forward the tape, playing for a national title. Now, did they get absolutely rocked in the national title game? Of course. Yes, that happened. But if your methodology is there's no way they can go from what their record was this year to winning 10 games, I would have a little bit of an objection to that. Because college football, it is very difficult, to quote Pete Thamel, to speak in absolutes when you are dealing with the variance of 18 to 22-year-olds. Translation, anything can happen. That's why you love the sport. It's why I love this sport. If you haven't yet subscribed, would love to have you at the party. We got content coming for you 365 days a year, man. We're live on Tuesday. We're live on Thursday, where we also do a fair amount of Q&A. This was a great question that we got from my Twitter page, at JDPiquel. So we made a segment about it. We want to do more of what you want to see. We're the People Show. It's not just a catchy tagline. It's the reality. We want to have you involved in this as much as possible because this is a community, and we're grateful that you're a part of it. So subscribe if you haven't already. Here's how this would happen. Here's how you would get to that 10-win mark in my mind for Brent Venables and company. The defense has got to mesh. The defense has got to take the next step because they allowed 30 points a game last year. So with that number, you believe one of two things. You believe, A, Brent Venables can't coach defense. Sorry, all that stuff he did at Clemson, I don't know. I just don't believe it. Can't coach defense. Okay, a little bit of an eye roll there. Second thing you might believe is that you don't have the players to execute just yet. And I think there is a mixture of things that are true, not so much having to do with the Brent Venables not being able to coach defense. I think that's a little bit off base. I think that's quite a bit of a reach. Last year, allowing 30 points a game, it felt like the defense was still getting comfortable in the scheme. Because especially against TCU, and TCU was a really good team last year, obviously played for a national title, and Garrett Riley is a wizard gone to Clemson now. That offense does so much to where they want to get you out of position. They're putting you in conflict, and their motions, if you're not disciplined, if you don't know your keys stone cold, they'll take advantage of it. In that game against TCU, I just saw a lot of open holes. I saw a lot of players being out of position, not just guys getting dominated. I didn't just see guys getting absolutely beat in their one-on-one matchup. Sure, that happens, and I think TCU had some tremendous personnel, and I think Oklahoma's still getting there. But that game, to me, told me a lot about where Oklahoma is as they're continuing to progress. And that game was earlier in the year. You kind of had a bumpy ride the rest of the year. But the second part of that, I think, is the personnel is still catching up to what is demanded of in this Brent Venables defense. Because in this defense, they require a lot of those edge defenders and the defensive linemen. Think about the Clemson teams that he was the coach of when he was the DC there. They just had freak shows, high NFL draft picks coming off the edge, in the middle of that defense. Like, they had guys on the interior defensive line and as defensive ends that could do some special things that you probably read about in comic books. Marvel or DC, doesn't matter to me. You probably read about them. I think that's what they're starting to acquire because as of late in the transfer portal, they have acquired 5 defensive linemen. You don't go into the portal unless you want to fix something now. And seeing you go and take 5 of the same unit and plug and play them and likely have them contribute for you next year, that tells me we don't have what we need in-house. We need to ramp it up a little bit because what's asked of us in this scheme, we need to have guys that can do more. And that's kind of that long, speedy, athletic sort of player. Dasan McCullough, I think, is going to be a guy. He is the prototypical player for this system, for this scheme. Very, very excited to see what he does, the transfer from Indiana. Offense has got to hold it down. For all of the flack that Jeff Lebby caught last year, man, they still averaged 33 points a game. They were top 25. Averaged nearly 500 yards of offense, 474 yards a game. They ran for over 200. These are good stats, y'all. Didn't equate to wins on the field, but in terms of production, Jeff Lebby held it down. Dillon Gabriel held it down, and Dillon Gabriel said, run that back, Turbo. Give me another year in Norman, which you got to love because those two together, I think, can do some really exciting things. Another year in the system for him, I think, will be really beneficial. So when I say hold it down, still be a top 25 offense if you want to win 10 games, but I think you might even need a little bit of an uptick. TCU had 40 points a game. Their defense had issues at times last year. But I think having a kick it up a notch, as Eberl would say, would be what you need on the offensive side of the ball for Oklahoma. So defense has got to mesh. Got to figure it out. Personnel, I think, is ramping up. It's on the way. Got to mesh. Offense was the strength of the team last year. Can it be the strength and take another step next year? That's how you win 10 games. I feel relatively confident they are good for at least 8 wins this coming year. If you want to win 10, got to win some different styles. Got to win some shootouts. Got to win some ugly games. The offense taking that next step, having an uptick and holding it down is the next step for me to winning 10 games. So when I look at the roster right now for Oklahoma, you lose Marvin Mims. It's a tough loss. Leader of your football team, Oklahoma guy through and through. It's a tough loss. You broaden it a little bit more. Look at the receiver room. I think there is a need for some more explosiveness. You got to have someone that can stretch the field vertically, especially in this Jeff Lebby offense. So much of what they want to do is spreading you out, create one-on-one matchups, let our athletes beat you in space. Let's get to work. We'll run to set them up, and then we'll get to work in the pass game. Andrell Anthony, the receiver from Michigan that's transferring over to Oklahoma, I think could be that guy to watch. Go and watch the Michigan State game that he had, I believe it was last year. He's a guy that I think could do some really good things for you. So keep an eye on him as they continue to progress for the 2023 season, but the explosivity, I think, needs to be there for Oklahoma to win 10 football games. Because you were close last year in year one in a lot of games. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. You and I both know that. Brent Venables knows that. There's a standard in Norman. And for all of the negative conversation around this 6-7 season, here's the deal. In your bowl game, you went toe-to-toe with a team that was further along than you, and that is a top 10 caliber team in Florida State. Toe-to-toe. Lost by 3 points. Could have gone either way. You're not far off. You're not far off. All this conversation, it's fun to be witty on Twitter and win the exchange on social media, but Oklahoma is still processing. Did they have less success than I thought they would last year? Yeah. A lot of people thought they'd be more successful. I still think year 2 could be a big year for them if those things fall into place. Keep an eye on the Sooners. Do not count them out. TCU is proof that anything can happen in that conference and should be a fun year in Norman. Very excited to see what Brent Venables does in his second year as the head man for the Sooners. This is the Hard Count. We appreciate y'all locking in with us, man. Nick Brake, Lifting Heavy. This is your show. We did this segment because one of y'all reached out on Twitter and submitted a fire question. And so we had to talk about it in its entirety. So we appreciate y'all allowing us to do this for a living. We appreciate y'all locking in every single day. We're live Tuesday, Thursday, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Come hang out. We have a good time there. And thank you. I'll leave it at that. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.